everyone enjoyed the film. And let's give a first round of applause to Kongkee, artist. Just do a very quick survey because today we're going to conduct the presentation and the talk in 2 languages. 有多少人是想听中文的？ Only one? Okay, 2. How many people would like to get this talk in English? Wow, okay, then I can save my translation skills. I was hoping to test my simultaneous translation skills, but it seems like we don't need to today. So I also have a quick question. How many of us are from Valley Rain Book Club? Excellent， 欢迎大家。我之前和谷雨书院的那个创办人 Raymond 也是非常好的朋友，所以非常感谢你们到来。然后知道今天 Stream 是会做这个 Q&A 的，对吧？所以也非常期待一会儿你跟江记的这个对话。So very quickly to translate what I said, there's some great friends from the Valley Rain Silicon Valley Book Club that we also had Stream Wu that will be doing the Q&A with Kongkee today. I know Stream is a philosopher but also working on artificial intelligence. So this is a topic that Kongkee is very, very interested. So I'm so looking forward to hearing from him. And
we started this Dragon's Delusion project from 2017, and then actually the first animation we made is the middle one, the departure, and then we made the assassination on 2018, and then the last one, preface, actually is the preface that at the opening in 2020. Our goal is trying to merge the philosopher and the literature and the poets that we love a lot,屈原, into contemporary context on our contemporary environment that mixing with technology and our life. So what we are struggling, can we get the answer from our ancestor? Is this a way that connect us with them? Because in our education, our ancestor won't deal with this kind of problem. They deal with the unified. Their goal is trying to find a way to unify with the universe. They are not interested in trying to unify with the machine or the iPhone. So I guess maybe interesting to put all these 2 things together to find if there's a new way to address the problem. So this is how we started this project, and is this at this point, is there anyone that like to raise any question? Because every time I do the conference, I have a feeling that maybe you got a lot of questions and you don't know what is going on. Actually, it's quite normal feedback that people will have a lot of questions in their mind. If I'm just trying to share my own story, maybe it's hard to follow actually. So just tell me anytime if you just have some question that you'd like to ask me.
No, I can ask you a question quickly.
Oh sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned like you take the屈原story to like bring it to the modern world. I'm wondering like why do you choose屈原? Yeah, so like there are so many materials in Chinese tradition. So like why like the spring, the autumn history and the屈原Qin. Why like those? Yeah, why like those materials is your interest?
Maybe I use the mic. more mobile. So because in my education in our home city, all the philosopher, the writer in our ancient time is all look like white Gandalf. They are so magical and all wear the white robe and also keeping calm and gentle. They don't have any emotion at all in their presentation, in their illustration on the textbook. So I'm very curious why they all look like this. So, but finally I got to reach the writing from Xu Yuan, like Tianman, and in a lot of his work, you will find that actually he is a very, he had a lot of emotion inside. In his writing, he is so colorful. There's a lot of vibrant color in his poems. In his writing, he especially mentioned that he liked the strange costume that his clothes and outfit that have their own tradition. And he liked all those jewelry, the accessory, and he always wear a long sword with so much jewelry inserted. So actually his style is more like a reggae or hippie for me other than the white Gandalf. So it's starting to have more interest about his personality. So that's why I try to read through his writing. I try to reimagine how the Warring States look like. This is why I started the whole project with Kongkee.
Interesting. You introduced a lot of useful information about Xu Yuan that I didn't know before. Could you those? Yeah. So you also mentioned he has a very full, rich emotion inside and some inner conflict process. This reminds me think about another question because this theme of this exhibition it think about death, right? So so Xu Yuan's death. So I feel like he is one kind of representative of ancient Chinese, Asian Chinese intellect. So they are have a lot of conflict inside. I don't know how to say if in Chinese we say 死恨谁知. So it's all kind of feeling. So yeah. So his death is feel like a very tragic. Yeah. So how do you think about his death? Do you agree or not?
Yeah, this is a good question about it. Maybe I just give more details about his death. You all know the Dragon's Boat Festival, right? It is because people try to memorize Xu Yuan. When people know that he was drunk himself, they afraid that the little fish in under the river will eat his body. They want to scare the fish off, so they play the drum and shout and remember and that trying to scare off the fish and keep the body of Xu Yuan. Then I think of a very interesting question is if someone going to suicide himself, normally nobody knows. If you try to jump off to the river, you won't tell anybody, right? So how come they know Xu Yuan is actually dead? If they can't get the body, so actually Xu Yuan is missing. Rather than you have the strong confidence that he is dead, so it becomes like a blank for me to work on in my imaginary story. So I tried asking, if he's not dead, he's still alive, what will he do? So it given me a hint to create a sci-fi story that about there is the robot that created by King Chu, who is the beloved friend of屈原. If this robot get the spirit of屈原, will this robot to commit suicide himself again, or because he is a robot, so he got a second chance? Even though the world that this robot is facing is so fucked up, is this any other new way to find his path? So that's become the sci-fi part of the story. So we create a new narrative to merging the history and the future.
Yeah, I see that. That's art. You just spot some like historical histories, and then you use your imagination, your technology to create another whole entire different world. Yeah, yeah, and also regarding the death in the exhibition, so you quote the Heraclitus saying like no one can like step into a river twice. Yeah. So yeah, also you mentioned like suicide. So yeah, so by Camus, so Camus, so yeah, Camus is like Sisyphus. Like the first sentence is like suicide is the most serious issue. Yeah, in human. Yeah. So yeah, I'm so yeah. So I mean yeah, I feel like so wow. So good to see those things. Yeah.
Because the problem, not the problem, the question of suicide is somehow you try to get rid of the tragedy. You don't want to suffer anymore. So for some people, he think suicide is the only way. So death becomes somehow equal to freedom. So this is why I'm always jumping from this concept. What is the difference between death and freedom? Can we reach the freedom part by the path of giving up your life? So you can see in the animation, the departure, there is a soldier that injured seriously. So he asked Xu to relieve his pain. So Xu said, just giving up your soul. If you don't care anymore, you can relieve the suffer from the suffer. So this is the way that I picture how Xu will do among this tragedy society, especially in a warring state period. The war is everywhere, and the death is everywhere. Actually, you can't do anything. Is this the only way? So it becomes the original personality of Xu, this figure, so, and then the robot came. So the robot is, for me, I like to find a new way out. So I put this robot to help me to find the answer. Actually, I don't have the answer exactly because I think I'm still in the progress of searching.
Okay. You see, you were saying like the relationship between death and freedom, right? Yeah.
So death and freedom is also the key element of the work of Weber Gallery, and but there's a projection on the ceiling about life and death and called "Am I falling or am I flying?" But you can only see it at night because it's a projection. In the daytime you can't really see the projection, but when at night you can see you see a red river projecting on the ceiling, and then you will find a body which is kind of flying or kind of floating. So it gives me but the idea is when you're flying, actually you're very close to death, because when you fall, it just is.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, So like Epicurus says like what is death? So death is like the deprivation of your experiment sense. So I feel like I hold like kind of a similar like a material view to death. So like regarding freedom, personally I think freedom belongs to something in life. So if you after that, so you lose all your sensation, all your sense. That alone talking about freedom. So like in life, there are two main things. Very important one is your like consciousness, and the second one is your like a fact or sensation. So yeah, I feel like freedom is more like a conscious thing that belongs to life. Belongs to your living, and a fact is kind of related to pain. So like so just say like if I don't have soul, then well I don't have pain. So like pain come from like your as a human you have a fact, sensation.
Yeah, because feeling is also the why you feel pain because you got feeling.
Because you care people around.
Yeah. This is also my concept, and I think about it is maybe there's another idea I like to share about the freedom and death, because why I kind of putting two things together is based on one belief is actually we the whole universe is conscious, the whole universe is alive. I know this is one of the way that scientists expressing what is consciousness. They put in consciousness is the basic element, the fundamental element of like time, space, and consciousness is the fundamental element of the whole universe. So
it's also kind of like a traditional Chinese philosophy, like a 天人合一 kind of thing.
So the concept is why. But I have to put a caution. This is a concept for the fiction. It's not my concept in the real life. Why I put death and freedom together is because in the story, okay, please, in the story, because all consciousness is connected together. The whole world is a big self-aware consciousness. But different life cannot feel each other because we are trapped in the body. So when the body is disappeared, different kind of consciousness they get merged together again. This is the meaning of getting free in the story. But there is another. Then a new issue is will popping up just when different consciousness is merging together. So where is you? Where is your exact consciousness? So maybe we don't have the tools to think about it. It's too abstract. So and also so I put my process of thinking in the comics. That's why keeping me to keep drawing.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, so my interpretation of what you're saying is like, so initially some like work, like spiritual work created by artists or literatures or some famous person, and then so they kind of like unshaped or like spiritual conscious like hand over to us, but later like it's later like actually each of us are like involved into add our own interpretation, to add our own like conscious to to enhance it or to change it or even like to totally switch it.
So you can feel the life of this creative object because the creator, like an artist, putting his conscious into the object. Oh this is a beautiful idea.
I see. Okay. So I think animation culture. It's like so first like so in the animation, so I do see a lot of like Hong Kong element, like the street view. I remember I would say like it's kind of like what is it, a plenty like view. Yeah, so you put those views there. And so it was like, how does Hong Kong affect your creation?
Yeah. When I grew up in Hong Kong, by that time, like my teenage time is like the 80s to 90s. So we see a lot of Japanese anime, which is all about how they talking about the future. What will it be? What is the future look like with those giant machine gun? You can and control the big robot. Although this kind of imagination didn't really come true, but it really gives me a lot of insight to picture what the futures look like. That's the first point that I love the sci-fi story. So
is it like a 1980s?
Yeah. And then I find that Hong Kong is actually already is a futuristic city because of the skyline and the density. It's just like the backdrop in Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, or many other sci-fi story in Hollywood. But interesting is I feel interested is you really can't see any Asian character inside this backdrop, right? You don't see the Asian in this Asia backdrop, just the story's stage. So that's the starting point that maybe we can change something, or by putting our view in a sci-fi story, like if you just change the character, you just put, let's say you just put a Japanese character or a Chinese character or even Thailand characters. If you just change the outfit, that's not the point. So屈原, the story of屈原, and what he believed, giving me a new way to rewrite the direction of imagining how the future will be. So that's why I use a lot of Hong Kong elements in the story, because this kind of icon is already been used in many art form or many movies. So it gives me a chance that if I change it, I put another meaning in it, it will evoke your impression of sci-fi. This is why I use that's a lot of element of Hong Kong. Not because just I'm growing up in that city. Of course I love it, but I think there may be a way that I can evoke the idea.
Yeah, so you're like a representative, like as like a futuristic kind of creation. Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah, and okay, let me trace back. I had impression like in the exhibition. So there's like a short story about seeing and the eyes. So it tells like the girl like she don't have eye, and then she can't cry, but until one day she cried, and that is the first song by human. Yeah, and then next frame is like okay, I think it's屈原, or yeah, he say okay, and next frame is like okay, then humans start to be given eyes, and the屈原just say okay, I got my first phone. So it makes me to make analogy from phone to eye. Phone is kind of like an eye for human to open our eyes to see different things. Yeah. So can you give your interpretation about it? What's the innotation of sound and eyes? Yeah.
So for this story is because I have a feeling that those technology or the iPhone or the camera or any kind of tools is an extension of our body, is an extension of our sense. So maybe, what's the problem about that? We got expanded. So why we somehow we feel suffering about this? Maybe because just like the story should tell. Although we use our sense to feel the world, we use our sense to find our discover, but somehow the sense is also a block to your true consciousness. I'm not sure if I'm making clear. Just when you just depends your senses to find the answer, somehow the senses will become a problem. So
it's not external of you. It's become part of you.
Yeah. So that's why the iPhone, even though you have to depend it to connect to the world, but without it or with it, that's not the point. The point is how to use your senses. That's why this is the why屈原in the story think I understand how the people feel when they come from blind to recover their sight. So this is the idea.
Yeah. So how do you generally, what's your general opinion to the technology? More like positive, negative, neutral, or yeah?
I'm addicted to it, honestly. Although seems like I am admired by those new age ideas, but honestly I know I can't live without technology anymore. So what really bothered me is can I really find myself with all the noises around me? Just like if I really meditate in a disco, the feeling is just like this. I guess it's not about to be truly silent. Meditation is not about truly silence. It's not about blocking out all of the senses. Meditation is just about itself. Why I use the terms of meditation? Because for me, creating, thinking is also a way of meditation. It's not about sit tight and don't move and become a statue. It's not about this. So that's why I use the creative story to be my way of my thinking.
Yeah. So like you embrace it, but you still criticize it.
Yes.
Audience.
So maybe
Okay.
she could.
Okay. So yeah, we can hand over to audience. Any questions?
I have been sitting in front of my computer screen watching your Kickstarters over and over. Well, I can either watch the subtitles or I can watch the action. So I have to do both. Anyway, so I can stop and start it. I have a very particular question. In the beginning, and then through the course of the sections, there is a small woman with no hair in a red gown.
Yeah.
That is a woman, yes?
No.
In the ancient story.
He's the king of his nation.
That's the king?
Yeah, yeah, that's the king.
Is that right?
This little person
Yeah.
with the...
Yeah. Actually, I hope you disappointed you.
I asked. No, I told Robert that I have been pondering this and pondering this. So at the very end,
Yeah.
he's hanging in a cage
Yeah,
and he uses the cassette
yeah.
to commit suicide. Yes? Wrong.
He is not committing suicide. He is
Well, he's
not.
setting himself on fire.
It's like a metaphor thing. He is not burning himself off.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I think the rest of my question doesn't make any sense.
But I still want to know.
I thought that Catherine was the modern presentation of.
But actually, you got the point. The voiceover of the king is the same of Catherine. Yeah, it is.
I am right. Wow.
Yeah, you are right. You are right. To some point.
Then who is the man in the fedora standing with Joe
Yeah.
talking about smoking?
He is the king. Yeah. Why I thought
Right?
why I did
I
not
said he was the king. Okay, but not Catherine.
She's the king.
in some point Catherine and the king is the mirror of the opposite. So one is the soulmate of Joe, the other is the soulmate of Xu. They treat them a little bit different. So they kind of like the mirror figure of each other. You totally got the point. You got
I'll
the
go
feeling.
home and watch again.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you asked the question. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's fascinating.
Because we can only because I keep all those secrets and there are many details that
There's
are
so
really
many
different.
details. There's
Yeah.
he's walking through the train
Yeah.
with the lit match,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
lit
yeah.
match, but glowing.
That's his magic. That's his magic.
I mean, there's so many little.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I
You
also-
was, you was so careful.
Yeah.
So next, some questions?
You. So I have a question. Like I feel like you try to convey your philosophy or your some abstract concepts, and also you want to tell the story. And so, but somehow I feel like you like more focus on your philosophy and also about the feeling that you try to convey to your audience. But the storyline is kind of vague. Is that what you want at the very first place?
Yes, this is the intention to doing in this way because just like how I design the flow of the exhibition, I guess reading a story is like being a detective. The fun is picking up the fragments and figure out what's the logic inside. Of course, you can giving out all those evidence to the audience, but somehow because this is much more fun to create your own story by the evidence because I'm not really a detective. I don't get responsible if somebody is wrongly be charged. You judge the character wrong, but that's not the problem. It's okay. You won't die, right? So creating your own story is the fun of reading the work itself. So the storyline is so vague. That is the case. Even though actually the tone of the narrative is spinning off from the comics, because when I'm drawing the comics, I have two ways to write a story. One way is drawing out all the tree diagram and how to organize everything, what is the hook, and how this hook leads you to the end. This is one way of writing a story. The other way is just let it flow, just like automatic writing, but do it in a very long scale. So I kind of trying to merge these two styles together. So actually, the three short animation have different goal I'm trying to fulfill. The departure, just like the smoking one, is trying to adapt the feeling of reading comics and trying to puzzle all the evidence together, and you don't need to exactly know why. But the last one, preface, you have the mode. There's a lot of dialogue going on, but you can clearly see the character. You know who is Joe, who is Catherine. It's not vague in preface, because somehow if you just focus on the structure of the story to play with a storytelling, you create a distance with audience, because we are human. We like to be connected. So I think giving you a character that you can hold on is sweet. You feel connected. So these three works got a different direction, and I think the field will have a little bit different between them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good question. So yeah, I want to say like I do feel I can sense your take. Yeah, but like I want to say that I do enjoy like immersed in this atmosphere, and like before this, so like for like the屈原tragic story and the AI stuff robot feels like very cold. But when I like watch the animations, I totally don't feel cold. So like the colors are very warm and vivid, so it makes me feel like very comfortable, like a pleasure, like yeah, watching the film. Yeah. Okay, so anyone else have questions?
I think we should probably.
We have another screening at 3 o'clock. If anybody wants to see it a second time, a new audience will come.
I think the last one is,
We should say
yeah,
thank you.
let's Kongkee use like Cantonese to say something to yeah.
多謝大家嚟睇呢個 show 啊，亦都多謝Asian Art Museum 嘅 support 我希望可以透過呢個 work 可以 connect with everyone. Thank you.